The Port of Moses Lake marks a milestone Friday with its 50th anniversary celebration at the Grant County International Airport. For more than 20 years, from the height of World War II to the height of the Cold War, Larson Air Force Base was an economic keystone for Moses Lake and a home for part of the United States nuclear arsenal. But in late 1964, with budgets tightening and the base showing years of neglect, the Air Force gave the order to shut it down. Colonel Clyde Owen was Larson's final base commander and stayed on as the port's first executive manager. Now in his 90s, Owen talked about the impact of the base's closure on June 30th, 1966, and the transition into becoming the Port of Moses Lake.
At that time, there was already 8 port districts in Grant County that we had, 70-some in the state. And so that was our very first idea, that we would form a port district, and the Moses Lake Port District was on the ballot, and the approval was in the general election of '65.
Voters overwhelmingly approved the establishment of the port, but the problem then became luring businesses to the area to keep it going. The port benefited by the arrival of Big Bend Community College in the late 60s, and it's remained a fixture ever since, training generations of pilots, mechanics, and aviation specialists. Owen said one of the early selling points he used was the airport itself. With 2 runways, each spanning 10,000 feet in length and excellent year-round flying conditions, it got the attention of Boeing as a testing ground for both its pilots and aircraft. That first step helped pave the way for an even bigger relationship, which put the port on the international stage to this day.
The ad started in 1967 when I got a call from a guy by the name of Tom Lane, who is the chief pilot and in charge of all the flight operations of the Boeing company. There was a large delegation of Japan Airlines people visiting Boeing, and I'm sure they were talking about the 747 program, because at one time JAL ended up with 100 747s. Anyhow, over a water break, one of the operational people of Japan Airlines went up to Tom Lane, the chief pilot, and questioned, "By the way, do you know where we can do some training?" And Lane jumped onto that in a hurry, and he sure as hell did know, and he got me on the phone right away.
Japan Airlines remained a part of the port for 4 decades, from 1969 to 2009, during which time it helped transform Moses Lake by pumping tens of millions of dollars into the local economy every year. It also led to other Japanese companies establishing locations around the airport, and current executive director Jeffrey Bishop talked about how that connection to Asia has helped the port continue to grow.
A number of Japanese companies are beginning to think that moving their operations from China to the United States becomes a more attractive option because of the fact that operating costs are continuing to escalate in China. There's really no end to that. We've matured as an economy, so our costs are pretty much known. So we suddenly become more attractive as a location to have that business relocate. But underlying all of that, always has been and always will be, would be the visionary movement of those Grant County Public Utility District commissioners that chose to build those dams on the Columbia River. And that's the marketing niche that the port has been focusing on. We've been targeting those types of businesses. We already have a great number of those here in Moses Lake with Chemicon, with Moses Lake Industries, with Takata, with Asterial, and it's something that we actively market. One of the things that we do in our presentations to these Japanese companies is we talk about not only the affordability but also the reliability. And the reliability is very important to them as well.
While Larson Air Force Base is long gone, the military has maintained a presence in Moses Lake by utilizing Grant County as a testing ground for its pilots and aircraft. Drive by the airport any day of the week and chances are good of seeing a C-17 or other aircraft doing training exercises, while Boeing's continued sending planes over the Cascade to utilize the uncluttered airspace over Moses Lake. The 21st century has brought the port even more exposure, thanks in part to a YouTube video showing Boeing's new 787 taking to the sky over Grant County last year. Bishop talked about how it's helped the port in establishing new business relationships.
You know, this may not seem like much of a big thing, but Boeing's the rehearsal for the air shows at Paris and at Farnborough, both have gone viral on YouTube. When you download, there's like 13 million views of people have looked at those airplanes flying here at Grant County International Airport. So it's great marketing that we're getting from Boeing. It's free. I mean, it's all over the place. That and the fact when you sit here in this office that you're doing this interview in right now, and see, we see more airlines coming to Grant County International Airport than just about any other airport in the world. We see them from every airline imaginable, because almost 90% of every plane that Boeing produces in Puget Sound at some point in time flies over here for a touch and go at least. And then our military partners, as airspace in Puget Sound continues to get more and more complex. The fact that we're here, we're available, that we have 340 days of flying weather a year makes us an outstanding location for that.
Friday's all-day celebration includes a standing air show of military, commercial, and civilian aircraft at the terminal, along with a classic car show, demonstrations, presentations, and more. Bishop said the work that's gone into making the port what it is today is something that can be shared by the entire Moses Lake community.
Hopefully they'll see that the port has done the best it could in maintaining this asset to be used by not only them, but by their children and their grandchildren. So we hope that's the case. We also hope that they see that we continue to monitor and keep up with the current market. We know our place, we know where we fit from a business standpoint, and that we've been doing everything we can to keep moving forward in that. That's been because there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from our predecessors that took the time and energy to stick their necks out to move forward with this asset and then also to maintain it.
The 50th anniversary celebration kicks off Friday morning at 10 a.m. In Moses Lake, Devin Higgins for iFIBER 1 News.